Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the GESC Thailand Minor CIS Qualifiers coming at you. We got 4 teams. We're going to find out which of these 4 teams will advance on to the main event, that is the minor tournament that will be held in Bangkok, Thailand, for that $300,000 prize pool and, of course, those all-important Dota 2 Pro Circuit points. Kicks off today, goes throughout the weekend. Excited to be here and kicking off with our first of 2 best-of-3s that'll be coming at you today. We're going with Spirit versus Empire. This will be followed up by Na'Vi versus Vega Squadron. Again, one of these teams advancing on ultimately. But 2 best-of-3s. We got the first one kicking off. We're obviously going through the draft pretty quickly here. But again, first things first, I'm Breaky CPK, and I'm going to be joined by my awesome co-caster today, the one, the only Tsunami. How's it going, man?
Radiant team.
It's good. It's good. I've been learning CIS possibly even more than my own family in these past few weeks. I was taking a glance at the Changsha Major Qualifier and then the Star Ladder Qualifier, and for some reason I didn't get to see too much Empire throughout either of those qualifiers. I know Empire recently did go through the qualification for the Epicenter one, and they made it through their region. And I guess their CIS compatriots, the Fly to Moon squad, made it through the Madness qualifier. So there will be 2 CIS representatives at Epicenter, which should be fitting given the region of the tournament.
On top of the 2 invite teams, Na'Vi and VP. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. Oh, so 4 representation.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is.
Yeah, so I haven't really gotten to see too much Empire, but I have seen a fair amount of Spirit. And so I'm curious how confidently Empire made it through their Epicenter CIS qualifier, because it doesn't even look like... I think they competed in the Star Ladder CIS, but they didn't do that well, and I don't think they competed in the Changsha MDL qualifier, so we'll see where Empire stands, because this one's Spirit versus Empire, and then the other best-of-3 should be Vega versus Na'Vi, right?
Correct. So those are our 2 best-of-3s today. Again, should be a good day of some CIS Dota. And I'm with you on Empire there. Empire, now, to be fair, they were playing in the Dream League Minor. That did take place here recently, the LAN event that was. Right, so yeah. They were a little bit busy with that. But overall, it seems like that, you know, for the longest time, it was Virtus Pro, of course, on top, and then you kind of had Empire and maybe Na'Vi starting to really show. And at the beginning of the season, at least, that was the case. But it has changed, and I think for the better, though, because and I think this is the case with most regions where competition as a whole has gotten that much better. I mean, you're just talking about, we even have a new team, Fly to the Moon, here at a CIS, that's all of a sudden taken a major and a minor qualifier as of late. Now, they happen to not be in this qualifier here, unfortunately, but still, again, the point stands, good competition. So one other cool thing about today's coverage, though, Tsunami, is obviously this is right after the patch came out. That was 7.12, and I know you were doing quite the analysis yesterday, so I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, what we really will see today when it comes to the patch changes, too, so.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I definitely recall, Razor was nerfed, the unstable current damage was reduced, and the cast range on static link was also reduced, so I wasn't surprised that I didn't expect him to really fall off. It was just more of like a quality of life balance for anyone who has to lane against Razor, because you can't last hit as easily with the unstable current damage, and now it's a little bit more likely that Razor won't be able to set up a link. And then Witch Doctor, I don't recall getting any changes. Gyrocopter got some significant nerfs, actually. Very significant nerfs, so that's a little bit surprising to me that Empire's going for it, because Flat Cannon's cooldown got increased substantially, and then homing missiles a little bit easier to destroy. And then aside from that, I don't think any of these other heroes got anything too significant, but both the first pick heroes got nerfed pretty heavily, and yet they're still both first pick heroes.
we talk about this plenty, especially now with the patch coming every 2 weeks. I mean, there's always the comfort factor. Yes, changes happen, as you put in some okay nerfs here, even significant. You can look at it, but still, it's always that comfort factor that teams like to go back to. Plenty of other heroes coming out, including the Beastmaster Kato combo now from Team Empire. We've seen many of times before. Underlord Visage on the other side, but that Beastmaster Kato, it's still strong and annoying as spamming those wild axes in the offlane.
Yeah, and even beyond these first picks, even these like second phase picks that we're seeing are still in the realm of comfort. Spirit are fans of Visage and Underlord, so both of those are among their wheelhouse. Not that either of these heroes received any buffs either. I don't think Underlord got touched, and I don't think Visage got touched either. And
10
then
seconds
Beastmaster
remaining.
Coddle, as you said, just like a famously irritating combination to have to deal
5
with
seconds
for
remaining.
Team Empire.
Yeah, how would you say that this patch, I mean, this seems like it was like, it really wasn't that big of a patch. It was a lot of minor tweaks here and there. So the overall consensus of the patch is that it was kind of a minor balance patch. Is that a good way to put it, you think?
Yeah, I had read an interesting comment on Reddit that seemed to... I can't
Empire's
guarantee
turn
if that
to
was the
pick.
trend for the past few weeks, but like, it seems that the dynamic will be like there's one talent patch, and then one meta patch, and then one like skills and heroes patch. And so like the patch before this was the meta patch with the buyback changes and whatnot, and then this patch did not touch a single talent
seconds
in the entire
remaining.
game, which has been the trend ever since 7.0. It's just been like
5
only
seconds
talent changes to
remaining.
balance out heroes, but this bucked that trend, and it was like an old school style patch where it was all about heroes like armor and spell values and scaling and whatnot. And then I wouldn't be surprised if the next patch goes back to talents again. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting if that's the dynamic that moves forward. And so technically all of them will feel minor, but then like after like 6 weeks culmination, then it's basically like the size of a normal patch that touches all three aspects.
Right on. Yeah, no, that's actually an interesting idea. But okay, this isn't a patch podcast here. We do got a match here, and we got the 5th pick still to come for Empire. It's going to be a mid hero. You figure it's 30 seconds now. They banned Viper on the other side. What other mid options do we think they can go with?
Empire have some Shadow Fiend that they've gone to time and time again. Shadow Fiend just seems to be a heavily CIS favored hero overall. Outside of that, maybe some OD, but I wouldn't say the OD is that great this game. Maybe against
Radiant
Razor.
team pick.
Timbersaw, actually. That's very odd.
Timbersaw, do they...
Well, Timbersaw got some buffs,
You may now
but
select your
nothing
hero.
enough to... Because there's one strength hero on the side of Team Spirit.
Yeah.
And oftentimes whenever you see a core Timbersaw and not an offlane Timbersaw is whenever you're like, oh, well, they have like a DK and like a Night Stalker and an Underlord, and they have like 4 strength heroes, so Timbersaw's super value. Or they have like a ton of physical damage, which technically Razor does deal a fair amount of physical damage, but Eye of the Storm is dropping your armor, and he doesn't really hit you that many times with like a bunch of units, like a Lycan or something like that. And so, weird that they go for the Timbersaw, but maybe they tried out the 7.12 buffs, because I guess with a Keeper of the Light, the main buffs to Timbersaw was he has less mana cost on throwing out the Chakram and less mana per second on the Chakram being out, but still, it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, there is that synergy there, you're right, with the Kato, but I'm with you. It seems like a little bit of a stretch on the Timbersaw, especially being in that safe lane, being played by Nyx, who is their carry player. Happens to be their drafter as well, by the way. It's always kind of interesting to note that when you see who's drafting for the teams. In this case, the carry player doing it. FNG
Because
on
even
the
in
other
the
side.
laning situation, he's going to be up against an Underlord. And Underlord is pretty much exclusively magic damage, and Firestorm is pretty great against strength heroes.
Yeah.
Although Timbersaw not necessarily falling under the category, but Timbersaw still has pretty good HP gain overall, and he's he stays at max HP due to reactive armor, and
Prepare
Firestorm
for
deals
battle.
damage based off of your based off of your max HP as well. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's definitely not the most strongest on paper pick, perhaps, but as you pointed out, with the patch changes and perhaps just an ultimate comfort thing for Nyx as a player, they do decide on the Timbersaw, but definitely going to be relying on Gyrocopter, who did get that nerf to the flat cannon with that cooldown reduction, as mentioned. But ultimately, he's going to be their hard carry, obviously, especially when it comes to physical damage later on, but a lot of magic damage to deal with. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Hood of Defiance, especially pipes coming out. Oh, more so one pipe on the side, maybe like the Visage here on the Radiant team, or even the Underlord, of course, to be had. But the Nyx Assassin was a very quick response,
30
by the way. We didn't even
seconds
talk
to
about that yet. We're going to be playing it, though, for Team Spirit. Does Nyx Assassin make a lot of sense to you?
I wouldn't say it was necessarily a response to the Timbersaw. I don't think Spirit really cared who the 5th pick was. unless if it was like a Slardar or something who could like specifically deal with the Nyx Assassin, which I do think that Slardar is more viable now, but one step at a time.
Yeah.
I think it's more in response to the Keeper of the Light. Nyx Assassin is a famously irritating hero for a Keeper of the Light to deal with, just because Illuminate is like the most telegraphed spell in the entire game, and Nyx Assassin can very easily carapace into it.
That's a good point. Biver at the top lane. We'll find Miposhka and run him down somewhat. No orb of Venom on Nyx Assassin, but he's just going to walk after him with that Windlace. Deal some auto attacks. So Beastmaster, Gostic is coming up to the top lane with Disruptor. Where's Coddle? Coddle's coming up here as well. Okay. So they're sending Timbersaw to the long lane, or the off lane more so instead. And now we see rotations from the Radiant side as well. Underlord. He's moving. Musical lanes here.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm surprised. I would have thought that Phobos would have been perfectly okay laning against Timbersaw. I mean, I guess since Underlord is a strength hero, then yes, technically Whirling Death deals a fair amount of damage, but I guess Razor is a better matchup anyway, so they're going to send Illidan down to deal with the Timbersaw.
But you see, Yoku is also coming back down here on Coddle, so really fun start here as far as seeing where ultimately the heroes are going to end up on either side.
I was surprised that Yoku was even moving up north to begin with, because generally Keeper of the Lights love this dire offlane because it's so easy to stack this camp and get so much like free farm after like 3 stacks, because the enemy team's usually not good at taking it, as now Nyx gets maledicted. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and there's that sap damage, but you know, it's obviously Timbersaw is not overall the most concerned about that. Still, it gives it to Razor though. Gonna be concerned of that. What he's able to do.
The thing is that like you can basically like leash the Razor, as now he's getting gone in on. The Illuminate didn't connect, otherwise this may have been a kill. And it's still a kill regardless. Well played by Nyx. That's not an easy tree to hit, so well played. And now they're going in and zoning out FNG.
Well, FNG has to respect Disruptor running after him, because Coddle's also nearby, Illuminate ready, and Witch Doctor will actually walk it off, but Illidan ports back in and ready to go once again. But yeah, first blood already happened in favor of Team Empire. The point I wanted to bring up, though, you know, you draft Coddle Beastmaster. I feel like you do that for the reason of the laning phase, no?
Beastmaster doesn't really need to the advantage that heavily, especially against an Underlord. Like, both heroes are basically going to get whatever farm they want. I think maybe at like 8 minutes, then you'll see Keeper of the Light join Beastmaster for the heavy push and incentivization.
Yeah.
But during the laning phase, I would suppose that they're more interested in making sure that Timbersaw has a good time, seeing as how that's their core.
So FN here in the middle lane going up against G playing Visage. So Visage Gyrocopter, that's not a mid matchup we get to see often. For obvious reasons, but the one we have here, and Gyro has the early advantage, 11-7 versus 7-4. It actually seems like he's doing pretty well against Visage so far.
Yeah, G is these days pretty much everyone is going for putting points in Gravekeeper's Clip and Grave Chill, just because you're investing in your familiar's success, because both of those spells affect your familiars, and the whole Soul Assumption build has kind of fallen off the planet as a result. And thus, your laning phase is much worse, but once you hit 6, then Visage hits a massive power spike, way higher than a Gyrocopter.
Yeah. You see FN, though, continues that CS, especially the denies. 10 denies, 11 denies now. He is a deny machine against Visage here in the middle lane. But bottom lane, FNG runs into Miposhka. Going to play Maledict and kind of zone him out. Looks like this has kind of turned into a try versus Trilane as Nyx Assassin even makes his way down here.
Is under attack.
I don't know what his game plan is. Viper's only level 2 right now. He's got boots completed, but usually as a Nyx Assassin is no cheat, and they land Grave Shield, Homing Missile, killed.
Yep.
Nice rotation by Miposhka.
I still got it.
They saw Disruptor heading that direction too, so I didn't watch it the whole time coming along, but as bottom lane now, Coddle, he's caught. Maledict is up. Nyx Assassin running him down. I don't think it's going to be enough damage though. It's only level 1 Maledict, and Nyx is here to kind of zone them out as well, so yeah, Coddle's fine. Easily walk it off.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on Viper making these rotations too early on, because what I was getting at is like Nyx Assassin falling behind in levels. Once the enemy team like gets, especially this game, like you've got to deal with Hawk, you've got to deal with the inevitable Aghanim Scepter coming out of Yoku's Keeper of the Light, and Nyx Assassin needs to take advantage of these like pre-20-minute ganks with Vendetta, and if like after that, if the enemy team, enemy supports get a lot of levels, then you're gonna deal with sentry wards all day long.
Razor turning his attention to Coddle. Still a lot of damage right there, 84, and Coddle almost got caught off guard by that, but again, able to walk it off. We all know Keeper of the Light, very fast. Already running at 385 movement speed with those boots picked up here. And he has the axe queued up. It's something we see with Coddle, so it's going to be Tranquil Boots first. But we have seen a lot of that Forest Staff first before the axe. But as of he's building right now, it looks like we're just going to go right into the axe instead.
Yeah, well, seeing as how aggressive Empire looking to play, that doesn't surprise me as Phobos gets zoned way the hell back to his tier 2 tower. Arcane Rune on the Beastmaster.
Oh. That's strong. Yeah, so talk about spamming walled axes.
Yeah.
That allows that even more.
Yeah, the Agnum Scepter build is it's more greedy. Obviously, less utility is Static Link coming out on Nyx. And you're gonna get pretty much a full link.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Running after him some more, but again, a Timber Chain away, and Timbersaw's fine. But like I said, it's you're still giving up all that damage to Razor now, making it easier on the last hitting. Middle lane, by the way, call down use G. Caught in the kinetic field as well. Gonna get hit by both strikes of the call down. FN running at him, another rocket barrage, and just simply nothing G can do, it feels like. He tried to run that whole time. But Disruptor's being a nuisance here in this middle lane. The rotation's on point, and it's a 3-0 start for Empire.
Yeah, unfortunately, Viver did not have the mana for a TP, and Underlord was not holding a TP, or Underlord or Razor are not holding TPs right now, otherwise that would have been a great opportunity to turn around.
So now Nyx is finding himself in the top lane. Nyx, the player, that is. Timbersaw. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. But yeah, Timbersaw is at the top lane, and we do see rotation of Gostic. Now he has Primal Roar. I think you were mentioning this. You know, eventually we're going to see Beastmaster join up with Coddle. And sure enough, we have it.
The push isn't quite ready yet. Yoku only has 1 point in Illuminate, and he's going to try to stack this hard camp. But I guess the idea was that Timbersaw is not fair enough against Razor. Now Roar comes out.
There's a chance. Level 1 Illuminate, though, as mentioned. It's not going to be enough damage, and Biver even comes in for the Impale just in case, but Illidan, he was more than fine at that point.
Yeah, Roar cannot kill a Razor by themselves, especially Raindrop was blocking the initial damage from Primal Roar.
Yeah, that was a good investment there from Razor coming out. So you see the one charge used. Top lane, Miposhka, speaking of rotating, he's coming top lane, but I don't know if Underlord's a different story, and he's got a Soul Ring, some boots early on. He's feeling pretty beefy. Wouldn't be the easiest kill. We're just going to jungle a bit.
Yeah, neither of the mids have really cared to rotate yet, so these side lane gank attempts seem half-baked because you just don't have the damage yet. And Visage has hit level 6, so G does have the familiars now, and as a result, Gyrocopter has decided to move away from the mid lane because he knows he can't stay there anymore.
From the tempest of battle.
We got Visage going the Helm of the Dominator build, no boots even, Ring of Aquila, Helm of the Dominator. This is just so popular on these summon-based heroes now, it feels like.
Illusion!
Visage no different.
Yeah. In fact, I think Visage exemplifies it the most just because of how much these familiars scale from items.
No boots, though. A little risky. But you have Grave Chill.
Yeah, exactly, because of Max Grave Chill. The flip side is that now he has way fewer points in Gravekeeper's Cloak, so he and his familiars are significantly squishier, but I guess that's the idea of going for the Helm of the Dominators. You get the HP regen.
Timbersaw, he's having a good time bottom lane as he finds himself back here. Kinda, I mean, he's almost just about level 6. He's going to hit level 6 after this creep at least. So he'll have his Chakram. And in fact, Arcane Boots on top of that with the Soul Ring. So, yeah, I mean, it's not the overall greatest start for Timbersaw, but it seems like he's doing his job. You know, he's not dying. And he's 1-0-0, in fact. So that's really what you can ask for out of, well, I guess technically he's supposed to be a safe lane Timbersaw, but
yeah,
started off
I'm more curious of what he's capable of doing in the later stages of the game. Laning phase, I don't think I've ever been concerned about a Timbersaw's fate.
No.
Although mid lane, I'm concerned about G's fate here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen this before, kinda. Now Coddle's even throwing in. Illuminate comes through. Just nothing he can do. Biver throws out the Spike Carapace at least, but again, it's just already too much damage happening. Onto G. And the struggle continues for Visage. Switching over to the net worth, something tells me, yeah, he's in the middle of the pack right now. Only at 2,700. Doesn't even have the helm finished just yet. He still needs the Gloves of Haste to be purchased. So meanwhile, on the other side, Beastmaster, he almost has a full Necronomicon. Just brown boots, but when brown boots bottle, full Necro, level 1, pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I guess the trade-off was they were willing to give Nyx's Timbersaw like a worse time to give Ghost Stick's Beastmaster a better time, because the way they've been prioritizing, like, Ghost Stick has been basically untouched. And he's done well with the farm. I mean, he's the #1 net worth. His Gyrocopter's a close second, but the Timbersaw is kind of falling behind. But I guess they're okay with that, because once the Keeper and the Beastmaster link up, especially once the Necrobook is completed, then you can create a ton of space for a Timbersaw, and Timbersaw can very easily catch up.
Yeah. Speaking of catching up, Witch Doctor trying that, and he has a tome on him currently. He's level 4, but obviously would like to get level 6 as soon as possible. On the other side, Disruptor is level 5. Yeah, so he had just hit it. Interesting priority here from Underlord, talking about seeing what they're thinking about going with the Q up. He's going the Hood, but then he's figuring to go Crimson Guard first over the Pipe even. And to me, you know, we were talking about Pipe seems really good this game.
Yeah, I think because
yeah, bottom lane actually. Razor, he's going to be clipped back in on top of the Primal Roar. Witch Doctor coming to the flank. Can he get your time? No, at least not to save Razor, but maybe for turn kills. Caustic, Maledict applied. He's definitely dying, so it will be a 1-for-1 trade as the rest walk it off, and that should be it. So ends up being the 1-for-1. They killed Razor though, but Beastmaster is higher in net worth actually, quite a bit. So I don't know.
In terms of net worth, didn't come out in Empire's favor, but Beastmaster is allowed to fall behind. Razor, you need him to be at the top of his game like all game long, otherwise Razor is going to get shredded by this Timbersaw. At least Biver has now hit level 6 as a result of that.
That's big for
so
obvious reasons.
Vendetted up. Ideally, he needs to find the Keeper. He's really the only viable target.
Okay.
I mean, you can kill Disruptor if you want, but that's not really worth it.
Yeah. Stop the Ag's progress as well. He's going to get information right here. He's trying to get the bounty ring, and actually he did get it, so well played. You see the pings coming out from, wait a second, FN.
Yeah.
There's somebody here, but cannot find him. So yeah, Underlord though, back to him. Would it make sense to go Crimson Guard instead? As as I say that, he's probably dead. No, Dark Rift. It takes so long though at level 1. God. Yeah, I get it.
The way that Empire are playing, then yeah, he might have to consider it. I wouldn't say that he's married to the full-on Crimson Guard quite yet, because the push is starting to begin. You've got the level 1 Necrobook completed on Ghost Stick. I don't think they're going to summon it for this tier 1 tower, as top lane's getting hemmed in. Yoku.
On Blinding Light, the attempt was made.
Yeah, so bot tier 1's going to be taken, and Empire are going to keep moving on. They've got the level 1 Necrobook available off cooldown, and they know the top lane is still getting pushed out by Visage. And the thing about Visage is he does not have anything like a Chen where you can teleport your familiars. If your familiars are on the top lane, they will stay in the top lane. They have to fly all the way down to bot. And that's, I mean, that's your mid laner. That's your mid-core position. So if all of his damage is flying away, then are you really concerned as you're pushing this bot tower?
That's actually really good. I never thought about that when it comes to Visage especially. So. And it's not like a Lycan even where you can kind of resummon them on a shorter cooldown. It's he has to wait a while, 130 seconds in fact of that cooldown if he wants to do it that way. So it is off cooldown right now, but still the point stands. He currently does have a siege creep taken over with that Helm of the Dominant Air Course, using that to push the top tier 1 tower. Nyx, aka Timbersaw, is just farming away, not realizing maybe who's nearby. Miposhka will spot it though. And so he's going to be the sacrificial lamb, be plenty of information now for Timbersaw, who's still in the lane, though, and he might be regretting this. He's going to Timber Chain away, and I guess he'll be fine.
There's really no way for them to lock down the Timbersaw. Nyx Assassin is the only reliable method, because Razor doesn't have any stuns, he doesn't have a Eul's, Visage doesn't have any stuns or Eul's, because the familiars just take way too long to get in position against a Timbersaw. And Underlord's route, I suppose, is really the only other method besides that.
Where's my pension?
Biver, bottom lane. They would love a kill on Beastmaster. They're setting up. 3 heroes collapsing. Gyrocopter's nearby, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do much himself. He puts the call down now. This is definitely a kill on Beastmaster. He gets the roar off at least on a Witch Doctor, so we'll set up a turn kill there. But definitely not the worthy exchange for Empire. Very good for Spirit on the other side.
Now top, and Nyx is trying
Dire's
to go in
middle
on
tower
G,
is
but
under attack.
it's so difficult for a Timbersaw to burn through Gravekeeper's
Tank
Cloak.
versus tank.
Yeah,
What'll
exactly.
happen? Yeah, and as expected, they both lose maybe 10% life at the most.
I think maybe once Timbersaw hits level 12 Chakram,
Radiant
then you
are
can burn through
scanning.
Gravekeeper's Cloak with like just the EOT from the Chakram, but I don't think at level 1 it works. It says it does 50 damage per second, and Gravekeeper's Cloak says minimum damage necessary to take off a layer is 50, but for some reason it did not seem like that was the case.
Well, he did have. Oh, I thought he had a Hood of Defiance, but no, Timbersaw is the one that has that too. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chakram is pure anyway. So
Oh, good point.
in theory, it should just be like 100% 1-to-1 damage, but
God,
yeah,
that's
I don't know.
the guy. I keep forgetting that. There's some of these abilities, and that's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, that's pure damage.
Yeah.
It almost feels odd, but nice. Yeah, that's how they catch him. You mentioned earlier, Nyx's assassin is very key
Yeah.
to catch him. And use the
Now
cast
they will
bounce.
transition that into a tier 1
Radiant's
push.
bottom tower is
I mean,
under
tier 2
attack.
push.
So Timbersaw
Radiant's
dead, but
bottom
bottom
tower
tier
has
2
fallen.
also goes down, and this one in favor of
Dire's
Vampire.
top
And
tower is
we
under
haven't talked
attack.
much about Gyrocopter, but he continues to be on top of the charts. He's got his Yasha, the drums, and something they didn't really touch in the patch, and we still see here he's
Dire's
flying
top
around
tower
very
has
fast.
fallen.
he's got that movement
Radiant's
speed.
middle tower is under attack.
Hard to catch up to.
Yeah. I don't think that any of the... I mean, most people were always going for the Flak Cannon attacks talent regardless. And so the cooldown increased from 30 to 40 seconds, I think. You're still obviously going to go for the Flak Cannon attacks. It's not like people
Radiant's
were like, oh
middle
man, I used to
tower
take
is
the Rocket
under
Barrage
attack.
damage. That used to never happen. So, and in terms of itemization, maybe it would discourage drum builds a little bit. Because I know drum builds are like, oh, well, let's just constantly fight. But now if your Flak Cannon's on a 10-second more cooldown, then, you know, that adds up after, like, 6 Flak Cannons, that's like 1 minute. So maybe less drums, but aside from that, I think Gyrocopter's going to stay pretty consistent.
God, I love that tooltip change they made as well, man.
Oh, man, I know. It's such a relief.
It's so nice. So yeah, you can see just to double check. Oh, that's right. That's what was changed. So yeah, you can clarify there. 30 to 40 seconds. The patch that came out yesterday. The Flak Cannon. Meanwhile, Roshan being done by Spirit.
Solar Crest freshly completed for G's Visage. It's as good of a time as you could go on, but it has been detected by Ghost Stick.
I heard Underlord coming in. So DK Phobos just used his
Radiant's
Dark
bottom
Rift,
tower
and the
is
Desire
under
team
attack.
definitely knows that. So they don't have a getaway tool if a fight does engage. But they will at least stop Roshan, and yeah, you mentioned the Hawk to scut it out, of course, and even with the Solar Crest and all the summons and everything, it still wasn't enough to quickly do it for Team Spirit. They want to keep trying, though. They don't want to just give this up now. But now you're in a spot of Empire. Okay, yeah, there's a smoke blade. They're actually going in all of a sudden. Gossick is not expecting this. Nyx Assassin finds the open. He cannot hit the Impale, though. But the Razor Static Link is up. Call down to use. Trying to zone them away. Save the Beastmaster. Gonna get the Primal Roar. No, we cannot. Static Storm will catch G in the back lines. But no follow-up for the time being. As I say, that Chakram comes out from Timbersaw. Running him down. Doesn't have anything to really Timber Chain do just yet. Finally, he finds it. Glimpse back though on Visage. He goes the other direction. Gossick gets recalled into the fight, by the way, with the buyback. He hits the Primal Roar onto the Visage. They get the kill, but at what cost? Down goes Beastmaster. You see Illidan in the midst of the fight still. He does not have that linked up damage anymore. 5 more seconds before that's coming off. Cooldown, Eye of the Storm also wearing off. So far, it's a 2-for-1 as far as numbers go in this fight in favor of the Dire side, but that could change. Timbersaw, there comes a link once again. Illidan all of a sudden plus damage kicking in, but he has to be careful. He's trying to run. FN chasing after him. They glimpse him back to them, though, and Illidan will eventually fall. So not the most upfront damage here in this fight, but over time it is going to favor Team Empire, and they want more. Buyback from Razor as he's coming back in. Nyx Assassin also TPing in. Did Timbersaw overextend now? And they're going to run after him in the back lines, going the other direction. He doesn't have the most mana to work with, and he's actually going to get a glimpse to help save him. Yule's on up, will keep him in place. Timber Chain, he doesn't even have mana for it, though. That's how low mana he has, and it is going to get caught. And that will finally be the conclusion of the fight. Wow, I mean, that fight lasted forever, and we only had, like, what, 5 kills in total, it felt like?
Yeah, and 2 buybacks. Razor buys back on Team Spirit, Beastmaster buys back on Team Empire.
Radiant
It's
structures are fortified.
incredibly fortuitous time for Yoku to have
Radiant's
this
middle
Aghanim Scepter
tower
completed.
is under
All this
attack.
happened during daytime. And and so many heals came out from Team Empire. All this vision, constant blinding lights, just made this Razor feels so useless. He was using the Yule Scepter offensively a lot of times to stop the Beastmaster, stop the Timbersaw from chaining away and give more time for the Static Link to proc, which he's actually surprisingly only put 2 points in Static Link. I didn't notice that, but he's opted to max out the Unstable Current, which is weird to me because there really isn't anything worth purging, and the damage on it got nerfed, so that's very strange that he opted to max out the Unstable Current to me, but yeah, now it's nighttime and now they feel safe finishing off this Roche.
I like how that's all it all goes back to. You know, you could argue who maybe won that fight, but when it's all said and done, a minute later they do Roshan still does Team Spirit, so I guess you really have to favor them in the end. Because now they have the Aegis.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how much Razor's buyback costs though, because he is 3rd net worth right now. But if he was if he was 3rd net worth the whole time, then I guess it's worth it because his buyback doesn't cost as much. But if he was like number 1, number 2, and now he's number 3, then that hurts quite a bit, even if you do get the Roche.
Yeah, we didn't really talk too much about that yet, but you were mentioning throughout that fight that the Yule's coming into play from Razor, going a Yule's priority essentially with the Ring of Acula, the Power Treads. He does have 1,800 gold saved up, but it goes without saying it's not necessarily a damage build on this hero.
No, the main reason is just for Timbersaw. You need to be able to stop Timbersaw from just evading Razor freely. And so whenever you see a chain come out, you Yule's him mid-chain, it puts the chain on cooldown, and then ideally you get more Static Link time, and obviously now he's putting points in it, but really I still would like to know the justification for maxing out Unstable Current first.
Middle lane. Team Spirit, they're looking for more kills. They have the Aegis, of course, on Razor. Understandably, as well as Nyx Assassin. Although Vendetta's not currently up. It's about 6 more seconds.
Nighttime, so Empire have no reason to play too happy, Aegis or otherwise.
True. They are playing very cautious. Want to avoid fights at all costs. As you mentioned, nighttime, not their strength. Daytime, on the other hand, that's where Coddle does shine. He's going to be recalling somebody to the bottom lane. It looks like Gostic. So we're starting to see more and more of that recall come out from Keeper of the Light, especially with the Axe, of course. And there's a level 3 Necronomicon.
Aspect of that fight around the Roche pit. Gyrocopter was like, he ran over to this bottom shrine, he shrined up, got recalled back during this final half of that fight.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, recall was being used to great effect.
Yeah, we saw it on the buyback Beastmaster as well. Middle of the fight.
Exactly.
But Tier 2 tower does fall in favor of Spirit, and then Tier 3, obviously you got to start defending now for Empire, and they have Illuminate spam, but it is still nighttime.
Hype available on Phobos.
Oh, true. And the Crimson Guard. Wow. He has it both now. Glimpse back in. No, does not connect. Obviously not the most ideal target, though.
Surprised they're not pushing it harder. I mean, they didn't activate Pipe or Crimson.
Yeah.
Now Piper's activated.
Well, and the problem here is Razor's actually not with him, though. DK Phobos, he is still starting to drop despite the defensive items here. In the background, Disruptor gets picked up by Visage, but Timbersaw just runs through finally with his whirling death and takes out Underlord. Got low himself, though. Meanwhile, Visage caught in the miss. The Black Cannon auto attacks coming out for Gyrocopter, and they take him out. Again, Razor not being here, such a key for Team Spirit. He had ported to the bottom lane, and so it made a 5v4.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely. Were they like Beastmaster keeps pushing it? Because he just uses Necro in the fight, so.
It was, yeah, something was down there, and then they got recalled back. I don't know exactly what it was. It might have been Beastmaster.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
However, Timbersaw,
casks.
yeah, it's a struggle
No
for him.
Yules used. Wow.
Doesn't
If
catch.
they used him, they should have been able to kill him.
Nope, he's good.
They still have the
Watch
Aegis
off.
available on Illidan.
True, that's the positive.
And the problem is that it's going to be daytime in 5 seconds, though.
There you go. Daytime kick it in. And all of a sudden, Empire, they're much more ready to fight if they weren't already. In fact, Keeper of the Light. Yeah, exactly. They got the Force Staff coming on him as well, so he's progressed. We mentioned level 3 Necronomicon for Beastmaster, and actually a Blink Dagger now in the works. Just about finished, but Razor? They find him. Gonna get the
recall.
Oh, the Eels. Oh, they will. Fighting purged it.
Unstable current.
Yep, the Unstable Current purged it off, and now Beastmaster, he's left in no man's land. He's gonna spawn his army. Necronomicon and all. I don't think he's getting out of here, though. Almost gets the turn kill. He might still get it, actually.
The illusions.
Even the illusions coming
You
in.
already used the root.
It's too fast.
Almost a turn.
Well, great catch, though. That's that unstable current. Just works out sometimes.
Radiant's middle tower
Nice
is under
perch there.
attack.
Gyrocopter, I'm guessing, yeah, he did use a second or to charge of his BKB, so we're down to 9 seconds. But he does continue to be on top of, man, look at Underlord, actually. He's also up there with the best of them. Blade Mail
he's
not
so
coming.
close to his 20 health regen talent, and there are no Spirit Vessels on the side of Empire. Because, like, so right now he has 27 HP regen per second with Pipe and Crimson, and a backpack Soul Ring, which is another 2 HP. And then once he gets that 20 HP regen, he basically has like 50 HP regen per second, which is like an active heart at all times. And it is so difficult for any hero to deal with that. The way to deal with it is Spirit Vessel, but no one has built it yet.
But 70 attack speed.
You're not wrong.
Now, we're not seeing the damage Underlord here. But yeah, you're right. No Spirit Vessel coming out. And speaking of that, that was one of those interesting changes. Was that overall a buff to the item or a nerf as far as like its impact?
It makes it more situational with them middling. Poshka gets vendetted.
Yeah, that got him.
Storm, he's gonna go down. It makes it more situational. So heroes who frequently build magic amplification like Veil, or who have magic amplification spells like Elder Titan's Natural Order or Rubik's Null Field, it makes the item better on them. But I think that's the way to go, because basically every single team had one Spirit Vessel, and really it was just like an upgraded urn rather than like a I gotta counter this heal strat, or I gotta counter this like super high HP hero, and so like everyone was just building it no matter what the context, and so this makes it a little bit more situational relevant.
Well, Nyx Assassin has had one now for a little bit in this game, so it does make sense. Do you know why he has it then with the changes?
Well, he just wants it for healing purposes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It helps out against Timbersaw, but so Timbersaw has a hood, and that's one of the reasons why it's a nerf, and so that's one of the reasons why in the future you may not see it all that frequently built.
Okay.
And obviously whenever you're against a Keeper of the Light, it'll reduce the heals too, but you don't really want to be taking fights at daytime regardless. But I think he mainly wants it just because he can help out his team from disengaging and re-engaging into fights.
Fivers had very high impact, goes without saying. See right there, he picks up. Peacemaster's pissed off. He's like, that was my friend. Oh, they catch him, though. He's, oh my god, actually almost worked.
Yeah, almost.
But no, it does not. So, good catch there in the end on him. As I was saying, as I was just about to compliment Nyx Assassin, he actually exposed the whole smoke gank that was just trying to be had by Empire there with his Vendetta. But they're still going to chase now. They know they're down a man. He does have a buyback, so we'll see if it's used right here. Razor pops his BKB, and Illidan is ready to fight. They do not have Underlord with them, though. I hear the Dark Rift coming in, but they do get the turn call Disruptor. And actually, Empire will respect it and retreat. Not worth it, they say.
And there's a BKB spent for Illidan. And it's still daytime, so I guess, I mean, it's a little bit surprising that Empire's not going for it, but now it turns to night, so I guess if the fight extended a little bit longer, then they may have come out on the losing end.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too. It's, again, Underlord, they heard him coming in. The BKB, as you mentioned, they lost or disrupted. It's like, why force that fight, right? Instead, just retreat, you know, take more advantage of this very slight lead that you have. But Gyrocopter continues to lead the way, and that Butterfly is going to be pretty important on him.
Yeah, but they're lucky that Roche didn't earlier respawn, so it had the potential to respawn like a minute ago. And Spirit, very, very well organized, checked it the second it was available, but not up. It will be up in a minute, and it'll still be nighttime then, and so I think Spirit are just going to camp out here and wait for their moment.
Ags on Visage, by the way, haven't really talked about that just yet, but his third familiar online as a result, so Jig on the Ags build, and 2,000 gold saved up towards an AC eventually, but you liking the Ags choice? That third familiar pretty good?
Yeah, he's been doing some split pushing. As you can see, the top tier 3 on Dire was already shaved off a third of its HP, and that was just pretty much purely familiar push. So he's been using it for reasons outside of fights, and that's the context in which I like Aghanim Scepter the best. If you're just using it in team fights, I feel like there are better items, but if you're split pushing, the new familiars are just so good. And like on the minimap, like the Dire team, they're like, I don't see any heroes in the top lane. I don't need to push it out. And then all of a sudden, like your tier 3 is getting knocked out. It's kind of like Phantom Assassin not showing on the map a lot of the times.
True.
And you're like, oh, I don't need to worry about anything. And then all of a sudden you're taking all this damage and you're like, what the hell's going on? But Empire, you can see their dots on the minimap right now on this bot tier 3.
Yeah, Spirit has a decision to make. They're trying Roshan, but they are going to come back and defend somewhat. In fact, he's not dead just yet. And meanwhile, in the base, they initiate on a Witch Doctor, but he got saved by the Underlord. So he's going to be fine. The tier 3 tower is still well alive, so they're committing, but actually Roshan eventually gets defended out. The Chakram sitting on top of it. Nyx playing that Timber Saw, keeping them away, but now Dark comes in with the Dark Rift. Familiar is also running down FN. He's going to get run down by Illidan. Yoki nearby. And the BKB used from Razor now. Did he get glimpsed back? Oh no, this is bad for Razor. He's dead. No way of surviving that one. They do kill Roshan, so it was kind of space created, I guess. And they get the Aegis picked up on G, but Timbersaw, he wants to pick up more of a fight. He is going to get counter-initiated on, though, as he goes in with the Maledict and the Death Ward. Nyx is going to fall on that Timbersaw. FN's also taking some good damage despite the BKB, and he might fall. The Death Ward doing so much damage right there from FNG. Wow, double kill for him, and just like that, now it's Spirit's in the advantage. Death Lord.
Yeah, that was substantial. I guess, what, so Gyrocopter, he even has an Eagle Song. He has 22 armor.
Yeah.
He was still doing that much. That's amazing. Well, he doesn't have buyback.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't buy that Eagle
seconds.
Song, like, right before he died.
No, he's had it for a while. No, he's had that for a little bit. But this Rax now, this went from Empire pushing bottom to disrupting Roshan to all of a sudden them losing tier 3 and maybe their own Rax because of what just happened right there. The Death Ward MVP, and you see G, he's still standing his ground. He's got that Soul Assumption nuke ready to go. Fully charged. The melee Rax will fall. G is getting low. He has the Aegis, though, remember. But the Crimson Guard keep it alive at the timing with a pipe, and they turn kill Timbersaw. He's dead for 40 seconds with no buyback himself. They're down to no buybacks on either hero. The Static Storm, G might end up falling here, actually. The Aegis will, of course, bring him back up. The Spirit Vessel applied to Destructor, by the way. The Familiar helping to run him down, and will finish the job as well. So definitely got what they came for, even in Team Spirit, and now they're going to back it off.
Yeah, 9 seconds until daytime, and so they get out with a lot. Seeing as how they didn't even have their Razor for basically the entire portion of that segment, and they still managed to get that much done. Now they're kind of sticking around, and this may be, like, you're against a Disruptor, but it doesn't look like Empire want to challenge.
Dig that.
7,000 net worth lead now for Team Spirit. How scary is Visage at this point in the game? I mean, he has an AC now coming along. He's the most farmed hero in the game. That's why I ask that.
If Gyrocopter's not up, he's terrifying. If Gyrocopter's up, he doesn't look that harmful because, for the most part, Flat Cannon is just going to be able to deal with the Familiars just fine. Although, granted, because Visage is going for all this armor, so, like, his Familiars have 7 armor right now, and that's pretty good for a Familiar. And so it'll take a couple of Flat Cannon shots, and, you know, you can always Stone Form them and then have them regen, and, you know, with a 40-second cooldown on Gyrocopter's Flat Cannon, maybe you can't take a full-on fight and finish them off in the same time. The main thing is this Underlord is just becoming a huge menace for this Timbersaw. Firestorm is doing so much damage, and the Blade Mail that Phobos has gone for, I love seeing Blade Mail, and for some reason I don't see it very frequently on Underlords, but yeah, he has 60 HP regen per second, and that's insane, and so you want to take as much damage as possible. And obviously, Aura stacking is great on Underlord, which he has now gone for Shivas on top of that, but I'm really happy that Phobos stopped off for the Blade Mail in between, because otherwise Timbersaw, you don't really have the best tools to deal with it. Like I said, you don't have the best tools to keep him in place and deal damage to him. And Razor evidently is still too fragile, seeing as how he only has a BKB and a Sanjin Yasha. So Underlord basically needs to discourage the Timbersaw from doing anything, and with this Blade Mail, he's been doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. DK Phobos, the Shiva's now finished. It's insane just how beefy he is, and you look at Empire, what they got, it's not going to be the easiest to kill him. I mean, Timbersaw maybe with some rolling deaths, but he only has 6 Bloodstone charges, by the way, and that's something else that's not been too good for Empire, the progress on the Bloodstone for him in this game. So it's a lot's really coming back to the Gyrocopter and relying on him to be the ultimate carry, which is fine in most cases, but as you're getting at, this is makeup of heroes on the other side that aren't the easiest for Gyrocopter to ultimately kill, and they're taking advantage of that.
So much armor. Even Witch Doctor went for a Vlad's, which is an item you basically never see these days, but it's a aura item that gives armor. It's 4 armor to nearby allies, and so Gyrocopter's all physical damage, and who cares about Timbersaw right now because you've got an Underlord to discourage them from doing anything. There's so much physical damage mitigation on the side of Team Spirit that Gyrocopter just feels anemic.
Team Spirit pushing in bottom lane. It just doesn't feel like Empire can do anything about it there. Split pushing in the middle lane, by the way.
Yeah.
Beastmaster's there. Phobos, he activates the Uber. Gonna send his team out. Oh, Giga comes back in. What a glimpse at the last second, and G's in trouble now himself. Meanwhile, back at the base. Over here, the T3 tower is gonna survive. You see Beastmaster running. Gostic will survive in the end, but G, not the same case. Great glimpse there from Aposhka. You gotta be perfect timing on that.
Yeah, you have a very, very small window. It depends on how much Visage like moves around. So like, if you are close to the end point of the glimpse, then like the glimpse goes back instantly.
True.
But if Visage like moved around a lot in between the 4 seconds of the glimpse, then yeah, it's a lot easier. But regardless, very, very small window. Granted, Spirit did still end up taking the full bottom racks, and so they got basically what they came for with the, you know, one major casualty of G's Visage. But well played by Ghostic to draw everyone back. Otherwise, things could have been a lot worse.
But now Empire with 2 heroes dead, really trying to capitalize off the kill of Visage. Illuminate going through. See the Blade Mill activated by Phobos, but not much of an engagement. Can they at least kill tier 3? It looks like they can. Rax is a different story, though. This is not the greatest sieging team here on Empire's side, other than Beastmaster. But they're not going to feel comfortable, understandably. You do have top lane, the Familiars once again still pushing.
Yep.
Despite Visage being dead. That's what they can do. And they are going to be a distraction for the Dire team to have to fall back. Visage himself also buys a Blade Mail, by the way. He just got one.
Now that is something I don't see very frequently. It works because obviously Blade Mail it's pre-reduction, and so even though Visage has ridiculous amounts of armor, because all of the one familiar does die in the top lane, all of the incoming damage is going to be dealt back pre-reduction, and so yeah, he's got 41 armor on the hero, and I guess whenever he's standing next to his piped up Underlord, he's got 30% magic resistance, and that's before the pipe active comes out. So it's interesting. Like, this is like one of the most anti-Gyrocopter games I've ever seen. Meteor Hammer cancel the glimpse on Nyx, but it's still gonna go down.
Lotus Orb not going to save him right there. Timbersaw caught from the chain in the backlines. Oh, Razor's in trouble, though. He's in no man's land. BKB will not save him, so both sides. In fact, Nyx on the Timbersaw. He's going to get away. So far, it's looking pretty good for the Dire team. FN runs in with the BKB, but again, the Blade Mail. He has to respect that. He realizes that he backs off at the time being. He has a Divine Rapier, by the way. Oh my god, he's going all in right here. FN looking to dish out the damage, but Blade Mail so, and the return's coming out. The Death Ward as well. Once again, down goes Gyrocopter, and the Divine Rapier on the ground. Witch Doctor is now the boss. He's like, look at me. I'm the captain now. And he's going to join up with the team to push in middle. So, Witch Doctor having a Divine Rapier. Maybe not the most ideal target, but still, they take it from Gyro, who has no buyback.
You know what he needs? He needs a talent that's like converts your right click into Death Ward's right click. And then now you've got an absolutely viable Rapier carrier on
that would be sick.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch. There was some DAC game just now that had like a Rapier versus Blade Mail, and I guess Spirit were just one step ahead. They already built all the Blade Mails before the Rapier even came out. It's
yeah.
The Poshka's just going to get shredded up.
Well, and Gyro's one of those heroes that, like, almost naturally, especially to come from behind attempt, will build it, so it's preemptive, if anything, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's probably game. I mean, Gyrocopter, no buyback, and again, even when he's up, he lost all that net worth, so top goes down. We're 1 racks away. They're not giving it just yet, but Team Spirit finishing the job. You see the Meteor Hammer even coming out from Nyx Assassin. And that should be the Mega Creep. So game 1 looking just about in the books for Team Spirit right here. Empire, bit of a last hold. I mean, the saving grace is the fact that Witch Doctor has the Divine Rapier. It's, again, the least intimidating target. So maybe that's what's giving Empire the hope of, okay, we still have a little bit of something, but...
I suppose.
Roche
is up, though, so give FNG the Aegis.
Yeah. That might not be a bad idea, actually. Just to keep it. He's just going to run away. Yeah, Witch Doctor's like, I'm not even going to be in the fight.
Yeah,
Why-
no, he's
why?
a liability right now.
Yeah. Beastmaster jumping in. Again, Empire's desperate. We see it right there. FN pops the BKB. Again, the Blade Mills, though. He's dropping himself. Razor sitting in his face. Beastmaster does buy back. FN running this whole time, though, from the Razor. Razor getting a little bit overextended. Nix on Timbersaw. He got overextended big time. He ends up going down. The Primal Roar on G. Just going to lock him down and run away, though. Empire really in retreat mode, and yeah, finally the GGs come out. So Spirit will officially take game number 1 here, this best of 3.
You can't escape.
I thought the way that Spirit played this Underlord, it was he itemized like basically as good as I could hope. He was using Rift very well. Aside from that one instance in the bot lane where Visage unfortunately got glimpsed back, but there's really nothing you can do about that. And one thing better than one blade mail is 2 blade mails, because like even if you see one come out and you're like, okay, I won't attack for these, you know, like 5 seconds or so, and then the second one comes out and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do, man? I just can't team fight. So great way to deal with FN's Gyrocopter and a solid draft from Team Spirit.
Yeah, very well played. And it's a game that, according to Lord Gaben, I mean, they had the win priority the whole game, actually, for pretty much most of it, even in the beginning with the lineup and everything. But early on, it did feel like Empire, again, especially with the Gyrocopter, and sure, some nerfs happening, but still a very intimidating core hero to deal with. But I think the biggest thing, too, was that Timbersaw, again, that's a safe lane. Essentially, I mean, he kind of started off late, but you get the point. Nick's playing it. They put priority on him having a good game. He really just did not have that great game that they were hoping for, and that was a final pick Timbersaw. So to me, that you kind of looking at the draft, that you look at that and realize, all right, maybe that's where they went wrong ultimately. As we even said going into it, you especially, you weren't too sold on the Timbersaw, so something to keep in mind for game number 2. But we are going to be having game number 2 after a short break here, guys. Again, I'm Breaky CPK, the guy that sounds like Grant. And I'm joined by Tsunami here as my co-caster. This is a best of 3. Stay tuned, guys. Game 2 coming up next.